Was there anything else that you watched?
There was one other thing. I feel like it requires a story, but I did mention last week that I would take... I've actually mentioned multiple weeks that when the third season of Irregular in a Magic High School dropped, that I would give it a chance on maybe like hate watch status, maybe, trying to figure out what it is that people like about the show. But I made a couple of tactical errors before I went in to this first episode of season 3. The first was that I misidentified the name of the season, and so I wound up loading up the movie and watching the first 10 or 15 minutes of that before realizing that it was just the movie. The second was that before I decided to go back and actually watch the third season, I, much like the first season, didn't remember anything about the ending, mostly because I'd probably removed it from my brain out of frustration. So I tried to find the episode where I stopped remembering things that happened, which turned out to be somewhere around episode 16 or 17, and watch in a non-focused kind of way through to the end of the season. I didn't make it.
You keep trying.
I am dedicated to understanding things I don't understand. And I got up to episode 19 and was so fed up that I just turned it off and had to go walk around my house because I just could not once again, I was utterly baffled and angered by everything I saw. But as far as the movie goes, I'm not sure if it's canonical. I thought maybe it was, but thinking that it was the first episode of the third season, in the first 5 minutes, I was like, oh, well, if only they'd explained the series in the way that they did in the first few minutes of this episode, I might actually be interested in it again. They lay out this idea once again of understanding magic as science, understanding magic as weaponry, or magic uses as weaponry. And they do sketch out a vision of the world that I appreciate. The idea that individual high-class magic users are the equivalent of weapons of mass destruction. And so that has shaped culture, shaped geopolitics, shaped, all these different facets of the world over the last 100 years, leading to where they are today. And now this doesn't involve any of the character stuff that happened in the first 2 seasons. But as a setup for the world itself, I felt in 5 or maybe 2 or 3 minutes, I got a much better examination of what the stakes actually were and what the fuck was going on than I did in 2 seasons of the TV show. So bully to them for figuring that shit out. Don't watch the movie because they basically took the structure of a beach episode and tried to turn it into a ticking time bomb sort of scenario that dragged in another lolly looking girl, which I am not interested in. So once I realized that A, it was the movie and not the episode, and B, it was a prettied up beach episode, I quit. Also, there was a scene within the first 3 minutes where the brother sister weird shit came back up again, and I was screaming at my monitor, just fuck already, just do it. God. That's all you want to do. That's the only reason the show exists. Just fuck her. Who cares? But whatever. So then, season 3, episode 1 of Mahouka.
Okay.
They actually did take part of the recap from the movie, which I was shocked that anyone involved in the direction of the show was competent enough to actually do. They took that recap and they did actually put part of it in the beginning, and then they named the main character, who now I've forgotten his name again because I don't care anymore.
It doesn't matter.
They named him as because of his debut of his ability, he is also a walking WMD. And I'm okay, that's pretty cool. Let me take out of my brain everything that I've watched before. Let me pretend the series is starting right here, and I see if I can get into it. And I gotta tell you, the show is trash. It's not for lack of a good idea. It's the inverse of Burn the Witch. Burn the Witch is a whole bunch of other people's good ideas filtered through someone who is a genius. I think Kubo is a sort of genius. He's not all around, but as we talked before, representing coolness, boiling down things that would like really work from like other work without making it feel derivative. Like, he's excellent at that. Whoever the fuck is behind Mahouka, and I'm not even saying the light novels, just like the anime production is like the inverse of Kubo, where they've been handed some ideas that are actually relatively interesting and in some ways cool, and yet again find ways to like execute them in an anime in the most boring possible way. Like, in this episode, I didn't really go back and count, but in my head, I think there were probably 12 minutes of just pure exposition. Like, when I say pure exposition, I mean like characters sitting at a fucking table and just talking. Talking. Now, maybe it really didn't last that long. I don't know. But in my head, it felt like it went on for fucking ever.
You were suffering.
I really, really, really was. The opening of the episode 2 is just like some random murder. It's super boring. Everything in the show seems like it always just takes place in a hotel. And I don't fucking get it. Like, every scene looks like you could have just like gone to a Hilton and like they have these characters just sitting around, I don't know, laying on beds, hotel beds, just chatting with each other. There's like a brief period of time where they get out and they're kind of like walking around what I think is like a festival, and then it's right back to hotel rooms, talking to each other, talking about fashion, sitting at a table drinking tea, talking. Like, you just talk, and you get to maybe like the middle of the episode, and there's like a breakdown of like a very brief magic duel, and once again, I don't understand like why the society is set up the way it is, that like students just stand around and watch other students move a ball or a plate with some magic, and then they go back to the hotel room or the cafeteria and talk about it, and they talk about missions, they talk about politics. Like, it's just so fucking boring. It's boring. It shouldn't be boring. You have a guy who's basically like a magical nuclear bomb walking around. Like, some of the women in his harem, if you separated them from their infatuation with his character and also took away all of the boring dialogue about what the fuck is going on that is irrelevant, like, characters will literally repeat themselves. Like, it'll be like, character A says something, character B responds, character A says the same thing that they just fucking said in the last line. Like, if you took away all of that, there's actually some, like, pretty interesting, like, characters and ideas here that if they just had room to grow, maybe they're just too many of them, you know, like, whatever. But if they just gave them some space, it would be cool. But they don't, so I will not be continuing the season. I don't care about, like, these missions and the politics of the USNA and like all this other stuff. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't even know how anyone could give a fuck, but it's there. So I reiterate my thoughts on the series. It is a complete waste of time. Maybe one day someone will do like a supercut of like whole seasons. I bet you could boil down like a whole core of Mahouka into like a 3-minute video that's much better than the entire season. In fact, that's probably how much material was in the light novel. And they just like spread it out.
Oh boy.
So fuck it. I'm done with it. I'm fucking done.
I don't even know if I mean, I'm gonna watch it for the opening. Was the opening on it?
I don't even. I think there was something like it kind of jumps right into this this recap. So I don't even think there was like an opening song. There's some ending music, which
so I'll wait until next week.
Or like episode 2 will probably have like the full thing, but like. Oh God!
That's honestly the only reason why I'm even showing up for it. Like,
well, I mean, look, it's just not my thing. Apparently, there's like a very vibrant community of people who really love this show. I've already run afoul their attention.
Oh yeah,
once.
They've been DMing you, haven't they?
For a brief period of time, I got a couple of DMs about my opinions about the show. It's fine. I'm just saying it again. I don't think that it is inherently bad. I just think that the execution of whatever the material in the light novel is being approached like in this very like hypersexual, sexless kind of way where it's not cool. Like, there's a lot of fan service that's littered across this series, but it's fan service for like people who want to fuck their sisters. Like, I don't want that personally. I don't need it. Like, maybe there's some broader message in it. I don't know. Like, the movie was maybe the worst because it just took all the girls from the school who are wearing like very conservative clothing generally and just rips all their clothes off. Like, they run around in like bikinis because they're on the beach.
Oh my God.
And everyone has like floppy F tits for no reason. And, and it's like, okay, if that's what this is, that's what this is. That's what beach episodes are, realistically. So like, I'm not high roading fan service, but like, don't build the sexiness of your show around what appears to be incest. Like, it's unnecessary. It does not do anything for the other parts of the plot. Like, if you want the sister to be like attached to her brother in like an effective way because of like the politics of their family, you can do that without having her literally like creaming up whenever he looks at her. Like
creaming up?
Yeah, like maybe at some point we'd have like another conversation about like how immature a lot of the representations of like relationships really are in a lot of these shows. And I understand, again, a lot of them are aimed at kids, but most of them actually are not, and many of them are not many of them, all of them have a production staff of actual adults involved. So yeah, as like a tangent, I saw over the weekend like some clips drop from the Blu-ray release of Be the Beginning, which I don't know if you had a chance to catch that when it aired originally on Netflix. I think it was a Netflix original, or at least they funded it. It's not like the world's greatest show or anything, but one of the things I remember when I first watched it was that within like the first 5 minutes, the whole world that they were in felt very lived in, and all the people who had relationships with each other, whatever that relationship was, a 12-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 20-year-old, a 30-year-old, a grown-ass man, or an elderly person in a wheelchair could watch that and quickly come away with all of the depth that Mahouka struggles to put into one relationship over the course of 3 seasons in a movie. Jesus. So that's the kind of thing that it's not impossible to do, and to have like not even like the doting sister trope or anything else. Like, you could really go in and say these are people who are very dedicated to each other, but like the fact that it's also wrapped up in this like weird incest vibe that's deliberate. It's not the fans doing this. It's not niggas like shipping. Like, that ain't what this is. It's the show or the light novels or whatever the fuck it is. Like, they created this. So I'm
okay. No more. Sorry. No more Mahouka.
sorry to everybody. Stresses me out.
I was just like, I'm just gonna let him get it out.
Okay.
Just
all
get
right.
it out.
Let's talk about something you enjoyed, please, God.